Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand is the 2 PM show, and have we got news for you? It is coming out that Scott McTominay might be closer to securing a move to Bayern Munich. I mean, make of that what you will. I honestly can't believe that Bayern Munich are looking to pay this amount of money for Scott McTominay, but if they are, I'll happily take it, and that'd be great for us coming into the last few days of the transfer window. We're going to discuss that deal, the money that's being quoted. Bayern Munich actually do want to buy McTominay, so that is very, very exciting in terms of getting money in, which we know that we need to buy another midfielder. So that could be good for Man United. Also coming out that Maguire has been told that he will definitely stay at Manchester United this window. Eric Ten Hag wanted to sell him, but he's been told he's definitely going to stay. What is this transfer team doing? Also very close to announcing our new second choice goalkeeper, and some interesting stuff coming about Onana and the Cameroon national team, which we'll get into, and also a little bit of an update on our left back hunts and who it looks like it's going to be, because we are in talks with Lyon at the moment over a deal for Tagliafico. Tongue twister there, Tagliafico. So we'll get into all that on the show. Make sure you get your chats in, interact with us, and we're going to get some polls going, get everything out in the air, because for me, going into this afternoon show, before that Scott McTominay news came out, I was thinking, it's just more bad news. Looks like we're keeping Maguire, which I thought was going to happen anyway. But when there's been a 30 million offer on the table for him and you've not taken it, and Ten Hag wants to sell him, you sat here thinking, why on earth have Man United not done that? But then, a slight little bit of good news, which I'm so glad that we get to bring you, is the Scott McTominay stuff. So we'll start off with that, and it's coming from Build, which, reliability-wise, honestly, they're not the most reliable, but they are obviously a big German outlet, so we'll talk about that. Bayern Munich are very interested in Scott McTominay, and Manchester United would be willing to negotiate a deal for 35 to 40 million. There is an exciting indication that it will happen. This has been rumours for the last couple of days, so it's not as if it's just come out of thin air. There's been rumours that Thomas Tuchel wants Scott McTominay and he wants him to be the new number 6 for Bayern Munich. I've chatted to a lot of people about this, and they've said, I can't believe that's true. Like, I don't believe that is true. But it is true. Ricky's already been on the phone to me saying, Beth, I told you Scott McTominay, people want him. West Ham wanted him, Roma want him, and now Bayern Munich wanted him. And he said, and by the way, it would be an upgrade if he went there from Manchester United. I said on this morning show, I think Scott McTominay going to Bayern Munich would be a great move for us. Ten Hag clearly doesn't want him. Like, let's be honest, Ten Hag clearly doesn't want him. I was watching the Spurs game, and that would have been a perfect game to bring McTominay into it. And Ten Hag didn't use him off the bench. Didn't use him at all. I think reluctantly was using him against Forest. He brought him onto the pitch because obviously, you know, we were trying to defend that lead, and Scott McTominay's got the aerial presence. They were having a lot of corners. He had to do it. But I think what he's been trying to indicate to Scott McTominay and probably Manchester United going into the last week of the transfer window is that he wants to sell him and he wants money to buy his own midfielder. It's obvious Ten Hag wants a new midfielder, and the only way he can do it is if he gets money in. I mean, Scott McTominay would obviously, you would think, jump at the chance to go to Bayern Munich and probably play more football than he would at Manchester United, because at the moment, Eric Ten Hag just doesn't want to play him. And if we can get 35 to 40 million out of Bayern Munich for him, that would be an unbelievable deal in my opinion. It really, really would, and it'd work for both parties. Scott McTominay gets to play at the best team in Germany. Bundesliga is obviously a little bit of a slower pace, and I think he would adapt to that league a little bit more, playing Champions League football. Man United get 35 to 40 million quid in their pocket and can go and reinvest that into someone Eric Ten Hag wants. It makes perfect sense, but whether it'll happen, I'm not sure. We've not had anyone like Tier 1 reporting on this yet, but if this deal is going to happen, it's got to accelerate quickly, because Man United would need time to obviously go and get their replacement in, which I think would be pretty easy to do. Obviously, Amrabat is the big name that Eric Ten Hag wants, 29 million euros, but I was looking at Sky Sports this morning and they were saying if that deal was going to happen, it would have already happened. So I said I feel like the Amrabat deal has gone a bit flat, and I think it's gone very cold. But we could look at anyone. I mean, is anyone from Bayern Munich's midfield would you want? I mean, imagine getting Gravenberch on the back of it. Would you want to go and get Gravenberch? Is he the level that we need? Obviously, Goretzka, that people have talked about a lot, looks like he might be on the move potentially. For me personally, I think he's a great player, but I would go for something a little bit different. But let me know what you guys think. 40 million is an awesome deal, says Sean King. Get Goretzka and get Gravenberch, get Kimmich. I mean, it's an interesting one. I know Ten Hag is a massive fan of Goretzka, so that could be one that we look at, and for me that is an upgrade. I was talking about how this morning I don't think Højbjerg is an upgrade, and I was gutted about that deal really, because I thought it was a massive sideways move. If you manage to get McTominay off the books and get 35 to 40 million in for him, and you got a player like Goretzka, or you got a player, you know, Gravenberch, I've still got question marks over. I think he's got potential, but I've still got a slight question marks over. But someone with that potential, I think it would be a good deal for Manchester United. In the back of my mind, the only red flag I have with this is I don't want to sell McTominay for 35 to 40 million and then we go and spend 25, 30 million on Højbjerg, because it was coming out before. Let me get this up actually, because I saw it before on my Twitter feed, and I don't have it here on my notes. I have it here, so I've got it here. Yeah, I saw it before coming from Jack Talbot that Spurs will want around £35 million for Højbjerg, a slightly more expensive number to a Premier League rival, and they will not entertain a loan deal. So the last thing I'd want is to get 35 million for McTominay from Bayern Munich and then go and spend that money on Højbjerg, who for me isn't really much better and it isn't an upgrade. That's the last thing I'd want to do, because I think that would be a really sideways move. If we got that money in and then we reinvest it properly, brilliant stuff. We'll have to wait and see. It's clear that Erik ten Hag doesn't want McTominay though, and the best thing to do is get him off the books. I was saying before, it would be a disgrace this summer, and this isn't me trying to be disrespectful to these players, but it's just the truth. It's obvious by Erik ten Hag's behaviour in game by not playing these players. It would be a disgrace if Man United had been offered £60 million combined for McTominay and Maguire, two players that Erik ten Hag doesn't want, and then by the end of it, they both stay at Manchester United to decrease their value because they're not going to get game time over the course of the year, and the contract runs down even further. Like it would be honestly the most incompetent thing. So to hear Maguire staying, we want to get rid of at least one of them, and McTominay could be the person that moves. He's got a bit more interest. He probably is open to playing first team football. He could be the guy that moves. We get the 35 million in, and we can reinvest it. But it isn't much money. Isn't much money. It is a good amount of money for Scott McTominay, but it isn't much time towards the end of the transfer window to properly seek out a replacement. But Erik ten Hag, obviously, he's got his eyes on some players like Amrabat that we could definitely move for at some pace. But should United sell Scott McTominay? The poll in the chat, I'm going to say yes. I'll be surprised if anyone says no. 93% says yes and 7% says no. I think that speaks for itself. 93% say yes. Like, if that isn't obvious, like, of how the fan base is feeling on this situation, we have to get that deal done if there's any truth in it. But I'm still not 100% convinced that there's massive truth in this deal. I just can't get my head around it. And to think of all the good midfielders that Bayern Munich have, I'd be very shocked if they were willing to spend 35 to 40 million on McTominay, but if they are, brilliant stuff for us. It gets us out a little bit of a hole. But I do want to talk about Harry Maguire now, the combo of these two players that Ten Hag doesn't want, but looks like he's going to have to keep at least one of them. I still think McTominay will probably stay, but Jamie Jackson has come out and said that Manchester United have told Harry Maguire he will not be leaving the club during this summer. Ten Hag had recommended John Murtough to sell Harry Maguire this summer, but the club now feel there is not enough time to replace him. Well. On this, I would say, you've had 3 months. You've had 3 months. Like, you've had 3 months. Everybody knew at the end of last year that Ten Hag didn't want to play Maguire. It was obvious. He stripped him of the captaincy. At least a month. It must have been over a month ago he stripped him of the captaincy. How is that not enough time? And not also, that is rubbish, because West Ham came in and offered £30 million and we rejected it. We stopped that deal from happening. So there was enough time, because there was a deal there on the table that we rejected. Some sources were saying it's because Harry Maguire didn't want to leave. Some sources were saying it's because Manchester United didn't want to give Maguire the payout for his contract. Whatever it was, that deal should have happened. We should have just paid the money off if that's what it took. We should have told Maguire, you won't be playing. You've got to kind of go and take that move. We should have made that deal happen. We really should have. And to be honest with you, I think if it was Maguire who was blocking that move, in which Manchester United, I think, should have been stronger in the sense of telling him, you know, really, Harry, like you need to move on. You're not going to get any game time. You're only going to decrease in value. You need to move on for the sake of your career, your England career. But I think Maguire, obviously he's definitely staying at Manchester United now, that's what Jamie Jackson's reported. I think he looks back at this and with huge regret. Huge regret. Because if you look at that West Ham side, how they've started the season, they look good. They've made some really good signings. Alvarez from Ajax, Kudus from Ajax. Who else have they signed? They've signed somebody else. Ward-Prowse. What a signing Ward-Prowse is. Brilliant signing. And Maguire was offered the captaincy role in that side, who are going to be playing Europa League football, have some good players and are playing some decent football at the start of the Premier League. And Maguire could have been captain of that side, you know, fighting for the Europa League, which I think West Ham actually have quite a good chance at, and would have kept his place in the England team, would have been getting game time, would have been a fresh start. So the fact that he's staying to literally sit on Manchester United's bench, I get he's probably going to be on a little bit more money, because I think he was, if I get it right, this was the rumours that Man United offered to pay him out 6 million, but he wanted 10 million. For the sake of £4 million, bear in mind he's on good money anyway, footballers are on good money. Like, you know, it's not as if it's day-to-day kind of money that, you know, the average person's on. He's on very good money anyway. To kind of reject that, and then he's to stay on Manchester United's bench for a season and potentially lose his place in the England squad, which he probably won't know in Southgate, I think he's going to regret it. I think he's going to regret it massively. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at it and think it is Manchester United's fault for giving him that huge contract. We've made these mistakes time and time again. But I think Harry Maguire is massively going to regret not going to West Ham. I don't think it's a good move. Basically took money over playing football and, you know, having a refresh in your career, because there's not a chance he gets into that United team this season unless there's serious injuries, which, touch wood, there's not. But there's not a chance. Ten Hag's made it very clear that he doesn't favour him. He's made it very, very clear. So that's a disappointing one. And that's why I think there's so much more riding on this McTominay deal to happen. Because to think at the end of this window, Man United could have rejected 60 million for McTominay and Maguire for them to just stay on the bench, it's absolutely ridiculous. It really, really is. It's like, for example, you know, you've got a bit of money, right? But let me think of an analogy that I can think about here. So, say, you know, you're doing well in your job, you decided to upgrade your car. So you know what? You're gonna go for a Range Rover. You're gonna go for a Porsche, something like that. I mean, I wish. You're gonna go for a Range Rover. You're gonna go for a Porsche. But then you have, you know, I don't want to disrespect anyone here, but you have your little Nissan Micra in the garage still there. You could, you know, trade that in and get some money for it, but you just choose to leave it there. Like, that's what Manchester United are doing with Scott McTominay and Maguire. I don't want to, I mean, they are a Nissan Micra compared to some of the players that we've got, like Casemiro, you know, Varane, Martinez. We've got them players in. You could upgrade, you could sell this car that you're not going to use anymore because it's not good enough for you. But you're choosing not to. You're choosing to just leave it in the garage, and it's just going to decrease in value, and that's kind of what this is right now. It's a little bit of a weird one, but it's true. That's exactly what we're doing, because McTominay and Maguire. McTominay will probably get a bit more game time than Maguire, but Maguire's going to, I think, barely get any game time. Lindelof, I think, has been excellent every time he's come on. I actually think he's knocking on the door for a starting place, even when Varane and Martinez are fit, because of how well he's doing. Ten Hag clearly prefers him to Maguire. I mean, Ten Hag picked Luke Shaw over Maguire last year at left-sided centre-back. Like, what does that say? So for me, it's a bit of a disappointing one. It's a bit of a disappointing one. But anyway, also coming out on that story, West Ham have withdrawn from the race to sign Harry Maguire because he is too expensive. Bertus Van Gaal says a very expensive Nissan Micra. Someone said a Prius. Yeah, do you know what it is with a Prius? Don't you think that whenever you're driving, anyone who drives on the roads, when you're driving behind a Prius, like every single Prius you come across goes about 18 miles an hour, like no matter what. Like, you're always stuck behind a Prius. It's so frustrating. That kind of is actually a little bit like Maguire, just treading through treacle. But yeah, anyway, Let's move on to the next little bit of news. Actually, some news coming in, which I feel like no one really cares about, to be honest. But Man United actually are on the brink of making a signing. So Manchester United now consider Altay Bayern deal from Fenerbahce on track, working on final details, and then it will be confirmed. Official statement not expected today, as there is still some work to do. But €7 million deal underway, player in the UK since Friday. So, not to be one of them people, but who cares? Who really cares about this? Obviously, it's not the keeper's fault. It's just at this moment in the window when we're in desperate need of other positions, a second choice keeper coming in doesn't really set fire to anyone, does it? It doesn't really get anyone that excited. But apparently he's a decent keeper. I've not really seen much of him, obviously from Fenerbahce. And you know what though? One thing I would say is he could actually get some game time with the stuff coming out with Onana in the Cameroon national team. So he's got to be pretty good. He's got to be able to compete with Onana. Obviously Onana's first choice. But I'm hoping this keeper is good enough to come in and be a first teamer. If, you know, we've gone spending €7 million on him, when we've got not really much of a budget for the rest of our window. We've still got all the positions that we need to get, but we'll talk about the Onana stuff in a second, but he could actually be needed to come in and play a little bit this season if Onana goes to the African Cup of Nations, that is. But yeah, on track to secure that deal. We've known it for a while, so yeah, welcome into the team. I hope he does really well, but we need to move on to targets that are massively needed at Manchester United and positions that we can't afford to not strengthen going into the rest of the season. Big Red Plonker says, our transfer team is so rubbish, I wouldn't be surprised if we sold McTominay to Bayern and ended up getting nobody in before the window closes. You wouldn't write that off, would you? You wouldn't write that off at all. If we did, it would be ridiculous because we literally wouldn't have anybody to play if Casemiro got injured, anybody. And people say Kobe Mainoo, he's out till January. Plus, he's not even played in the Premier League yet. I like him, but, you know, to put all that pressure on him would be ridiculous. If you get rid of McTominay, you literally have to buy. You have to buy another CDM, like you have to, a number 6. You can't not, because if Casemiro gets a red card or gets injured, you're going back to, you know, potentially playing Bruno there, which is ridiculous because he can't, like, Bruno's obviously, you can play across the midfield, but he's not a specialised number 6. Or you have to go and look at, you know, maybe Dan Gore, who I actually see more as a box-to-box. So you've got to invest that McTominay money if it happens. Sayan Bo says, Harry Maguire's already cost us a lot in games, now he's costing us in the transfer window. I don't know what he thinks of himself. I need reimbursements for all the things I've broken at home because of him. Don't break any stuff over Manchester United, it's definitely not worth it. But yeah, please smash a like on the video for Scott McTominay to Bayern Munich. I mean, something I didn't expect at the start of this transfer window, but it's definitely something I would welcome with open arms. But does that, you know, Scott McTominay being, you know, targeted by Bayern Munich, does that make you guys think, you know, maybe as a fan base, we're a bit too harsh on McTominay? Maybe someone worth keeping if Bayern Munich want him? I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I do think we should sell him, but what do you guys think on that? But a little bit of, oh yeah, so I wanted to speak about Onana potentially going to the African Cup of Nations. So the Cameroon manager came out and said on Onana, it all depended on him. He knew what he had to do. If he's on the list, it's because he did the right thing. He's one of the best goalkeepers. The door was always open. There was never a problem with Andre. Today, we are satisfied that he's reunited with the group. So Onana has been called up to the Cameroon national team for the international break coming up. Obviously, we heard he'd retired from international football, so we didn't think that would be a problem. But now it looks like he's back in. Does that mean he'll go and play in the African Cup of Nations? Does that mean the second goalkeeper is going to have to play? And maybe that's why we've gone for him. Time will tell. Time will tell on this one. We've not got a confirmed answer. But Onana did post something quite cryptic on his Instagram. He posted something that lies will give you flowers but not fruits or something like that. Yeah, lying gives flowers but not fruit, so make of that what you will. Interesting that got posted straight after these quotes came out, so we know there's been some tension with the manager and Onana in the past. He's probably insinuating that the Cameroon manager has lied. I might be getting that wrong, but that's how it comes across to me. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out, but I hope he doesn't go to the African Cup of Nations because my main focus is Man United, and he's the best goalkeeper that we have and he's someone we invested in the summer. You want him to be able to play. So hopefully he doesn't end up going. But if he does, that's what second choice goalkeepers are for. And you know, we've gone and spent €7 million. You expect that player to be able to fill in, because what's the point of getting him if not? But Sky God says the transfer team are so bad. Wait. Have I read that one out? Oh yeah, the transfer team is so bad, I wouldn't be shocked if Scott goes to Bayern and then we loan him back and pay 100% of his wages. I mean, nothing would shock you with this transfer team. I don't think that would happen, but never say never, because whenever you think something isn't going to happen, it ends up happening. Someone said, what's happening with Dean Henderson? As soon as this deal is confirmed with the Fenerbahce goalkeeper, I've wrote down how I properly say his name here. Altay Benadir, Dean Henderson to Crystal Palace will be announced, and you'll probably get the here we go on that. He's going to go. We just need to announce the signing of Altay Benadir first from Fenerbahce, so that is going to go ahead. Red says, morning Beth, we aren't buying anyone, Glazers out. Yep, keep that message going, but I hope we do end up buying someone. I've got my fingers crossed, but it's not looking likely. We're probably looking at some loan deals. Big Red Plonker says, this transfer team are so bad, I won't be surprised if we sold McTominay then brought Jimmy Garner back in on loan. Keep these coming, everyone. You wouldn't be surprised. And then just an update there for you guys. Man United are awaiting scans to understand the severity of Raphael Varane's injury. To me, that probably rules him out of Arsenal. If you're awaiting scans for Raphael Varane's injury, highly doubt he's going to be available for the Arsenal game, and he's probably going to be out for a little bit, which is super frustrating with all the injuries we've had. It is like hitting your head against a brick wall at the moment. I love Varane. I think he's been great at the start of the season, to be honest with you, one of our standout players. But the one thing I would say, which I'm really happy about, Varane doesn't play against Arsenal, Lindelof plays, and I have no issue with that. Lindelof has been excellent, literally excellent, ever since the end of last season. I'm getting told Johnny Evans in my ear, and I'm going to take you out if you keep acting like that. I'm going to take you out. Seriously. Johnny Evans, he's not playing. I'd play Maguire before that, and that's saying something. No, Johnny Evans obviously was a very good defender, but I watched him in Dublin and I wasn't impressed. But then again, I wasn't impressed with Maguire either. But no, Lindelof, as I was saying, excellent. From the end of last season to now, I don't mind him stepping in for Varane at all. It's just worrying because obviously we're going into part of the season that's really important, and it just looks like injuries after injuries keep building. You know, Varane injured, Luke Shaw injured, Højlund was injured. He's actually coming back though, should be on the bench for Arsenal, which would be exciting, but it's definitely something we need to avoid. And this is why Ten Hag again wanted a centre back, because we all know Raphael Varane's injury prone. We all know it. And we were speaking when we thought we were going to get Kim Min-jae, who's going to start, Varane or Kim Min-jae, and everyone was saying, of course Varane will start. And I said both of them, because Varane can't play more than 2 games a week, and even then he's injury prone. I love the guy to bits, but he's injury prone. This is why we needed another centre back to kind of secure that right hand side. But Lindelof, thankfully, has stepped up and been very, very good. Window so far is a max at 2 out of 10. And Beth, can you play centre back? Probably better than Maguire. Yeah, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. That is a joke. But I mean, if they need one, call me up. Probably not the best, considering I am like 5'2", but we move. Eriksen is underrated, and let's have a poll, Evans or Slabhead. Oh, this is where Man United are at, having a poll over whether to play Maguire or Maguire or Evans. It's centre back. Like, it is so frustrating, but this is why Ten Hag wanted a centre-back. But last little bit of news I wanted to get into. Ray S says, Gravenberch would be such a great addition to this team. I like Gravenberch from what I've seen in the past with him. It just worries me that he's not been able to get into Bayern Munich's team. Like, that worries me a little bit. Because Bayern Munich are going after McTominay, yet Gravenberch can't get in. It's worrying. That doesn't mean you write him off, because obviously in the past he's shown his worth, and he's a young player. He's had so much potential when he left Ajax. Everyone thought he was going to go on and, you know, hit the heights. He's not really worked out for him at Bayern Munich, so I would take him, but it is a risky signing. It's a risky signing. But the last thing I wanted to speak about, and this is coming from Le Parisien Sport, a French outlet, and that is quite fitting because obviously the player we're about to mention plays for the French team Lyon. But Manchester United and Lyon are in talks for Nicolas Tagliafico. United want a loan, but Lyon would like to attach a mandatory buy option to it. Interesting stuff. We know Manchester United are going to try and get a left back in. I think we will manage to secure a left back on loan, I would say, or it would be like a one-year deal probably, but I think it's more likely to be on loan. And I said on the last show, the only two names right now that I would take are Cucurella from Chelsea or Tagliafico from Lyon. I think they're the only ones that are good enough to kind of get into this Man United team. Tagliafico's won a World Cup, which I love. He's experienced, he's defensive, he can get forward. Cucurella was, player of the year at Brighton. He looked really good. City and Chelsea were fighting over him, and then he had a really bad season at Chelsea, but I think there's a player there. The other player was obviously Rico Henry, which I really like that player at Brentford, but the reason I don't mention it is because I just don't see Brentford letting go one of their best players. I just don't see it happening. So for me, it's ruled out. But Tagliafico is definitely someone I think Man United can go and get on loan from Lyon. And, probably have to pay a bit of a loan fee. He'd probably want to come to us. I think that'd be a decent little signing. So we'll have to see how that progresses. Got a poll in the chat, rate Man United's window so far. I'm going to rate it a 4 to 6. Reluctantly. Ty says, Beth, do you see Rasmus getting any minutes against Arsenal? I think it depends, really. If we end up, going into the last 30 minutes of that game and we're winning, by one goal, 1 or 2-0, or even 2-1 or something like that, I don't see him coming on, maybe, because I think Ten Hag will really try and kind of shore it up. He likes to hold on to a 1-goal lead sometimes, especially when we're away from home. But if, we're drawing that game or even losing that game, which is a possibility, I definitely do think we'll see him come on. I mean, he has to, realistically. It's either him or Sancho, because Martial will start the game. He'll come off after an hour because of his injury problems and Ten Hag protecting him. So then it'll either be Rasmus or Jadon Sancho. You'd expect Rasmus to come on as the new number 9. And, Anthony scored in his debut against Arsenal. Rashford scored in his debut against Arsenal. Wouldn't it be fitting if Højlund scored in his debut against Arsenal? But I think it depends the way the game's going, to be honest. But I do think he will actually... He will make an appearance. Tagliafico, again, an Ajax player. We were speaking about that in the morning show. The amount Ten Hag goes for players he's worked with before, it's funny. It's understandable, but it's funny, and I spoke about that on the morning show, so I won't go massively into it again. Chuck says, Maguire will so regret staying when he loses his England place. Well, I said that, definitely. Just to finish off the show, over 7,000 in the chat for a 2 p.m. show. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you hit a like on the video. But just to finish off the show, obviously, buying in from McTominay coming from Build. We'll wait for more, elite sources to kind of confirm that interest, but it has been hot. That has been heating up over the last few days. Maguire definitely staying at Manchester United. That is a blow, I think, for Ten Hag and for us. Second keeper, Altay Benidé, looks like he's signing for us, which is good. Then Dean Henderson can go because that's just a saga that's been going on for too long. And then, obviously, Tagliafico being one of the big left-back names mentioned at the moment. Apparently, Manchester United are exploring a loan deal with a potential option to buy on that. But before we go, I want to get your opinions in on this. If we did sell Scott McTominay for 35 million, who would be your ideal midfielder to bring in? I want to know that. And also, if we managed to get a left back, the ones that have been mentioned is, Rico Henry's been mentioned, but I don't really think that's on the cards. Reguilon's been mentioned, Cucurella's been mentioned, Spinazzola's been mentioned. Who would be the left back that you would go for on a last-minute deal? Let me know that as well, because I want to kind of see what the consensus is. Mine personally would be Amrabat and probably Cucurella or Tagliafico, either of them. But I would definitely go for Amrabat or maybe even Gravenberch. But Amrabat would be my first choice, even though I do think that deal might be off, to be honest with you. Stephen Ross J says, at what point do we admit the Onana signing is a case of right player at the wrong time, considering all the other positions that we need upgrading? I won't admit that. I know a lot of people have said that. I know Mark said it. Honestly, it's just not my opinion. Again, I don't want to bring it up, but the keeper we used to have in David De Gea still hasn't got a club. Does that not say it? Does that not say it all? We needed a new keeper. It's just unfortunate that we also need a lot of other positions as well. Frankie de Jong, you're in dreamland. You're in absolute dreamland. Could you imagine? He would not want to come for us. Tchouaméni, that's the type of player Man United should be trying to get, but he's never leaving Madrid. Never. Camavinga's another one. Oh my God, how unreal is he? Like, it's just, it's night and day. You know, people are saying Tchouaméni and Camavinga in the chat when realistically United are probably going to go for Højbjerg from Tottenham, who can't get in the Tottenham team. Like, it's literally, it's laughable. It really, really is. To be honest, no, though, I don't even think like Man City would be able to get Tchouaméni or Camavinga out of Real Madrid right now. I doubt it anyway. Like, Real Madrid are just, they're on this level where they've got such a good midfield, and of course young players want to go and play there. They invest in the squad every year. They've got a winning mentality. Like, you've got to be honest, like, there's no way Man United would be able to get them deals over the line, especially with the transfer team that we've got at the minute. So thinking realistically, got a lot of Amrabat and Cucurella's in the chat, got a lot of Gravenberches as well. Amrabat and Tagliafico, Ricky alongside Casemiro in the midfield. Covelin Moodley says Amrabat is the best progressive midfielder. I don't think the Amrabat deal is going to happen, and I'm really disappointed about it, but we'll see. We'll see. Like Sky Sports said, I just think 29 million euros, if United were going to do that deal, they would have done it. And I don't think it's Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag wants him. I think it's the recruitment team at Manchester United kind of blocking this. Also, Donny van de Beek, is he going to leave? I doubt he is going to. And then what's going to happen there? Ten Hag's literally left him out the squad the last 2 games. It's just a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. But this is what happens when you put players on big wages. This is what happens when you buy players the manager doesn't want. Remember with Donny van de Beek, lovely guy, but all he wanted Grealish and ended up with Van de Beek, who he didn't want. And it's just never really worked out. But here we are. But anyway, guys, let's hope that Bayern Munich go through with this Scott McTominay deal. It would help us out a lot. And let's hope we can invest in a decent midfielder before the window closes. But any other news we will bring to you here on the United Stand. Tom Kent, member for 14 months. I highly doubt the club's ability to sign anyone by the end of the transfer window, to be honest, Beth. I know everyone's really down about it, and we're all with you. Sean King says, just imagine if we had Qatar, we could buy anyone. It's not the fact we could buy anyone, they just would have done business differently. Like, they would have sold players, because they would have employed a good transfer team, and then we wouldn't be battling financial fair play. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Hopefully we'll have new owners in by next year. That's all we can hope for now. But thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you hit a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And thank you for joining me on the morning and the afternoon show. Got loads of exciting stuff coming up this week. And yeah, we'll be back with you throughout the week and the 8 PM show tonight. But thanks everyone for watching. Have a lovely Tuesday and I'll see you on the next one.